David. David!
Oh, God. Oh, I was having such a terrible nightmare.
You know you can stop doing that, right?
I know. Oh. Hello there. We watched a movie today.
1313 Cougar Cult.
Cougar Cult. For a 1313 time period. Yeah. That's about it. Good night, everybody. Oh,
this fucking movie. Okay. At least Billy the Kid had something happening.
Even if it wasn't until 10 minutes in.
Well, 10 minutes, I could give 10 minutes in. This movie, nothing happens for the entire duration.
Okay, before we talk about anything at all.
Just plot.
Plot. Because, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. I can't give a plot. There's fucking nothing that happens.
There's no plot.
I will boil this down to keywords, okay? Keywords. Rubbing, oil, glitter, CGI cougar faces, and stupid amulet. And then freeze frame at the end.
Freeze frame!
You repeat certain terms, and you just... There you go. That is your outline for your movie. And when I say rubbing, I mean rubbing. Like what I did at the beginning, rubbing.
And it lasts an eternity. These scenes last for like 10, 15 minutes at a time.
Here's the thing about the rubbing, okay? In your movie, whether it's sexual...
Feels like it.
you go a certain time period, and then something sexual happens. Go a certain time period, something sexual happens.
Even a porno knows how to pace out sex.
Exactly.
Now, at least I hope you do.
This film, 5 minutes in, you get 10 minutes of rubbing.
Rubbing.
Another 5 minutes, you get 10 minutes of rubbing. It's, what, an hour and a half long?
Not even, I don't think.
You can't have that much rubbing of your male characters.
I mean...
All male.
Yeah, sure. Okay, the thing is, though, with softcore porn and all that jazz, you could probably get away with that, but none of this shit is sexual.
No.
I mean, like, you know, it obviously is supposed to be, but no. Alright, I want to say one thing about the three cougar actresses here. I do not know the actresses' actual names.
I know their character names if you're curious.
You can say off the character.
Clara is the main blonde one, and then she has two little girls next to her named Victoria and Edwina.
Well, these three actresses are apparently like scream queens from like back in like the 80s and all that jazz. And these people have not done a movie in like 22 years, and this is the movie that all three of them are brought back. Now, from what I remember reading, David DeCoteau is he directed Puppet Master 3, I think. 3.
That's it.
Here. That's the actual one, if I got that wrong. So this guy definitely has some knowledge of how to construct a horror film. I mean, sure, yeah, the Puppet Master movies weren't all that great, unless it was Leprechaun. I don't remember exactly which series he was part of.
It was definitely Puppet Master.
It was Puppet Master. I mean, like, Puppet Master is a lackluster B horror movie franchise from the 80s and whatnot, led into now. Puppet Master, the original Puppet Master, I'm not dissing it at all. It's a great piece of B slasher movies and whatnot with supernatural elements and all that jazz. It's one of the few good ones. Don't you fucking make fun of me.
Oh, you're talking about a different movie entirely.
But the thing is, I'm talking about this director. So the thing is, though, this director has an idea. He came from, like, the golden age, the end of the golden age of horror films in the early 80s and all that jazz. And, you know, and also I think Puppet Master 3 was, like, his, like, second or third movie or something like that. I don't know. But, having that been, this movie's supposed to be somewhat scary.
It was? I missed it.
Supposed to be.
I missed it.
One, this is entirely filmed in David DeCoteau's house.
We finally, okay, yeah.
We
mentioned in the Billy the Kid review and Talking Cat that he has two houses. A little cottage out in the woods that looks all nice and whatever, and then this big modern house.
I don't know if they're both his. I'm guessing they are.
He has access to both, so we may as well just say they're his, unless we're getting information otherwise.
They're actually even better. They're just from his producer's house, and he lives in his car.
Oh God, that'd be terrible. I feel so bad about making fun of him.
I
will continue.
He still gets to make movies. I mean, like
the thing about this the girls. All right, let's talk about the girls. Let's go. I guess the actresses. The 3 actresses in this film. I can't tell if they are putting effort in or if they're just not good.
I don't think they are. I'm like, it's like, this is something for us to kill an afternoon.
No, because this was deadly. I won't say this is like...
Yeah, they killed an afternoon.
Killed an afternoon. This film, it was so boring. Like, if you're into seeing muscly guys rubbing themselves for an hour...
Just go watch Boys Gone Wild.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course it is. Cinema Snob did a review on that.
I don't know. I can't get into this film. Like, it was the same with Billy the Kid, but with Billy the Kid, there was a plot. There was things happening. They didn't really deserve the gay and lesbian tag.
If you got rid of all of the repeated footage in this movie,
10 minutes.
It wouldn't be 10 minutes. But the thing is, though, it would definitely be like half an hour. And also, if you got rid of all the rubbing, or at least chopped down the rubbing sequences.
Rubbing and showering.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Showering without really showering. I mean, they're just there getting wet.
Yeah. God, I wish that we could show the video.
And also the thing is like, you normally said that with this type of movie, like, if you don't have quality, you up the smut. Well, they upped softcore smut. Meaning that... And I'm not saying that, we have to see tits and ass and all that jazz for all these movies all the time if everything else fails. No. But the thing is, though, these movies are some of the lowest of the low we've come across.
They are. Oh, God.
I mean, 1, the quality is on par with Taint Light. 2, it has just as much conviction and development as Sandy Hook. I will not say it's as bad as Sandy Hook. I don't think we've come across a movie yet.
We're looking.
And to be honest, actually, if one of the 13 movies turns out to be as bad as that would be pretty awful. Yeah. I might actually hurt someone. But, probably myself. But, it's like, no more movies! Padded walls!
Overall, it's not a good film. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
It's just there. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's really hard for us to come up with bullet points of what to talk about because...
Nothing happens!
Well, not even just nothing happens, just everything in this movie is wrong. Yeah. Everything in this movie is lackluster. Some of these people obviously do not care. Well, I hope some of these people got paid for this.
Hold on, that's the next thing I want to talk about. We mentioned the actresses, kind of. They put in mild effort, if even. There were 3 boys. They are nerdy. These aren't big enough quotes. Nerdy kids that are getting a summer job, basically being live-in masseuse people and pool boys for these 3 sisters of people. I
don't know, how do they pay taxes on that house?
I don't
know. In the story, like this trio, this coven of cougar witches and whatnot. I wonder if they pay taxes. Or what's their income?
I don't know.
I mean, you're like, they just got a pretty big ass house, man.
They steal the credit cards and wallets of all the boys that they abduct.
Exactly, they know how to do it.
But no, these 3 boys, I can't say I despise everything about them, but I'm damn sure close.
I want to know where these people got picked up.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know where these actors actually, like, was there an open casting call for all these people and whatnot? Like, was there an ad out on Craigslist? Like, I'm not sure exactly where he picked all these people up. One, they look like they all came from the exact same place.
Yeah.
Now,
if you could have a warehouse of ambiguously gay people, these 3 boys are just right off the rack.
I mean, and also at the same time, it's not even just that. It's just also like, yeah, sure, you can, if you're making a movie about, like, a certain group of people in one location and all that, there's similarities, all that jazz, I get that, but, like, these characters are all the same, down to their underwear.
Not true. One wore briefs and one wore boxer briefs.
But everyone else wore briefs.
Yes, they did. The three boys' names.
I have never seen so many tidy whities in one spot than when I go shopping at Target.
The three boys' names were not Godwin.
Darwin.
Darwin, that's right.
Godwin. Godwin's Law.
Darwin, Cooper Smith.
We're not talking about Nazis here.
Rufus.
I call them Roofies.
None of the three really stood out. I guess you could say that the real...
Nothing about this movie stands out.
The real hero of the story was Darwin, who...
Of course.
Was supposed to be like the nerdiest of the nerds.
Because he wore glasses.
Yeah.
But he wore hipster glasses.
He wore the hipster glass. He was the guy you see on Instagram.
The white, black frame hipster glasses.
He was the guy you see on Instagram going...
Lol, nerd. I'm like, lol, faggot. Like... And I use that word with absolutely no regard to the gay community. You're like ShitFlix and all that jazz. We don't have to make a fucking disclaimer for that. My personal use of the word and whatnot is about douchebags, okay? I use it in the South Park reference, when it's just these douchey people. And that's what these people are. The moment you step on... The moment that they come on screen, it's like, these guys are faggots.
Alright, Matt, hold up. We aren't talking about the movie.
Yeah.
People will slaughter us if they can post comments.
Of course they can and whatnot.
No, they can.
Well, when they can. Well, I was like, yeah, but I've stated my point. I'm not using it as a pejorative term and whatnot.
No, I'm not even talking about that.
But the fact of the matter is, these people, all these people, reminds me of the Secret Life of Timothy Green, or the Odd Life of Timothy Green and whatnot. All these people is like, I don't care about any of you. Y'all make me angry. You're all half-assing everything involved in these things. If you're not invested, I'm not going to be invested.
Okay. Well, here's what we need to do. We need to stop talking about the people, because, honestly, we don't care for any of the people. They're all the kind of guys with, like, the frosted tips.
But that's the problem.
No.
But that's the problem, though. Because we can't relate to the characters, so none of the rest of the movie can be relatable.
I guarantee you that's not the problem. I can point out two problems right away. First off, we need to talk about the repeated footage.
I have talked about the repeated
No,
footage.
you glanced over the repeated footage. The repeated footage...
Half the movie is repeated footage.
Whenever they are asleep, or even in the shower, anytime they're rubbing themselves.
Anytime they're there.
They have these visions of the cougar ladies coming in from upstairs, and they walk so slowly. And they are only interrupting their showering every, 30 seconds or so for 5 seconds of footage.
Remember the next Karate Kid where they introduce all the people and they're walking down the hallway, but that's at real time and it takes forever to get to reveal them? Imagine that going slow-mo. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and they're doing, a circle dance out in the thing to, summon their...
They're not even doing circle dance. They're just standing there like this.
Yeah.
They're like the Atlantis things. It's like...
There's a lot of repeated footage at this point. But real quick, I need to mention... since I didn't actually give much of a real plot, the whole thing is these three women are part of a South American cult religion tribe thing, because one of them has an amulet. And
because
this whole thing, they worship some god named, I don't know, Copy Bear or something.
What's the Quacknick for all you Fahrenheit fans out there?
When they kill or capture or whatever a boy, they turn into literal cougars.
No, they don't turn into cougars.
No, let me get done.
All right.
They turn into literal cougars in order to sacrifice or feast on. I don't know exactly the point of it. They never really dive into it.
I'm going to eat you with my human teeth.
They do that. And that's the second reason. You say characters is why this movie isn't good. I state this reason.
No. It's not characters. Not the reason this movie is good.
Actors. I don't give a shit.
No, it's not actors. It's every individual involved with it.
Okay.
The entirety of this movie is flawed from conception to post.
Whatever you say, I don't think this was one person's fault. I think...
No, it's not. It's a collective. It's a collective. See, the thing is, personally, when it comes down to film... Usually you have one of two options when it comes down to movies. Either A, if there is a singular dominant vision of the entire film that the entire film takes on. Some directors and some producers, for that matter, are known for that. Stanley Kubrick was one of them. You could say Paul Thomas Anderson, But the thing is, though, at the other time, it's either one person or the entire film is judged as a collective. Now, my personal opinion is that usually with films that are much more collaborative, that uses elements from all disciplines, every single person has a somewhat of a part, a purpose, and whatnot overall of the overall quality at the end of the work. Now, going to this movie.
Okay. When they turn into cougars,
it just keeps going down. It breaks the gauge. The needle sticking downward.
When they turn into cougars, they had, I don't know what possibilities they could have had, but they chose what seems like the worst possibility, just short of holding up paper masks.
They're not even turned into full cougars, by the way. They're turned into cougar heads.
What they do is they sparkle for a second. Sometimes they have glowing green eyes,
sparkle,
which is okay. It looks semi-believable. And then other times they do a full transformation thing. What that means is they get a cougar head off of Google Image Search, Photoshop it onto the girl.
First, they do shit with their eyes.
I mentioned that.
But first, they do shit with their eyes.
I mentioned that. You're re-saying things.
First, they mention that, but yeah, I mean, I'm out of stuff here. Well,
in that case, I'll jump in because
there's literally the music, the pacing, the acting, the writing, the directing. The best thing you could say about this thing is it has a couple smooth tracking shots.
See, I hate when we give just such broad generalizations.
Yeah, it is the problem to make such broad generalizations, but the problem is at the same time we're dealing with such a generalized movie that it's hard not to speak in generalizations because I seriously can remember only a fraction of this movie. And it's not for lack of trying.
I don't know. I want to go into more of it, but I'm just trying to... I don't want to say anything really about the acting because it was the actors that really I didn't like. So I feel like I'm sort of biased in that way. I didn't care to relate to any of the actors giving their portrayals because I was already thinking, God, this is going to suck. And that was really the whole thing over the thing. After seeing Billy the Kid and Talking Cat, I went into this thinking, God, this is going to suck. And it's really hard to give an objective or subjective, whatever, opinion based off of the fact that you go into it expecting the worst.
No, well, the thing is, though, like, you can always be pleasantly surprised. You go in there expecting the worst, and you don't get necessarily the worst.
We went in and we were expecting the worst, and we got the worst. Like, I guess, okay.
So, it met our expectations.
It met our expectations, but that's like going in thinking you're about to get fired, and then getting fired. It's still not good. No,
it's not good. I mean, if the movie was good, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I don't know.
I think that's really seriously all we can talk about.
Hold on, movie. I just want to go over really quick. All right, just like 3 words for each thing, just so we can say that we covered everything. All right, acting. It was all right. No, I
do not agree.
I'm thinking acting was all right. It was the writing that really was the issue.
No. There was no really issue.
Except for the women. I think
everything is wrong. Everything is wrong with this movie, in my opinion. The casting is wrong. Like, the thing is, even, like, everything down to the story is fucked up. It's messed up. The music's not right. The editing's wrong. The cinematography is okay at parts, but for the most part, it's just blah. It's just there. Like... and also, scenes will just go on, and just on, and on and on. It literally has absolutely nothing happening with it whatsoever. There are so many reused shots. They're entirely... Remember the second sex scene in the room where they literally redo the entire scene shot for shot? Yeah, this is that like 4 or 5 times. This is so ridiculous.
It opens up with a guy in the shower, and then... he gets killed. And then there's like a few rubbing
scenes.
That's
the only death.
And then another shower scene. And then a few rubbing scenes. And then another shower scene. No, there is one other guy who dies. You remember the one scene where they say like, oh, he left in a cab. You should go get his car and do all that. And whatever.
Still off camera. There's no blood. You know, of a person who directed the Puppet Master movie and with the scream queens from horror films, this movie is lacking a lot of the essential elements of a horror movie.
They also didn't show any sort of gore or violence in Billy the Kid. Like the guy who got shot, he was holding his arm and then bandage over it. They never once
I
showed...
personally, I don't think that was actually... I think that was just a tattoo. It looked like a tattoo.
No, he was holding it, but they didn't show any blood. There was nothing there.
There was a mark on his arm.
Oh, I didn't even see the mark.
Yeah, there was so that's why I'm thinking like it was probably a tattoo that they just covered up.
I didn't even see the mark.
Either way,
they just went to covering that. But
we're just talking about another shitty DeCoteau movie.
In the end, they take the amulet and they're like, well, I'm sure, and because the whole thing was a summer job. They take the amulet and it's like, I bet we could make a few bucks off of this because the amulet gave them power or something, but also killed them. It's really hard to explain a movie with no plot. You have no idea. They took the amulet, like, we could probably get a few bucks off of this from a museum, and then freeze frame.
Freeze frame!
And they just, if your movie has to end on a freeze frame and it's not an inspirational movie, you're probably doing something wrong.
If your movie has to end on a freeze frame like a fucking 90s sitcom, there's something wrong.
Boom, 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 boom,
dude, even South Park doesn't freeze frame and whatnot. I think the only time I saw them freeze frame was the Little League episode where Stan's dad jumps into the air and it's like, I'm the best! Alright!
Why are you comparing it to South Park? South Park's good.
I'm comparing it to 90s sitcoms. South Park is a 90s sitcom. It's just a cartoon sitcom.
No, but the fact that it continued on into 2000, when I think 90s sitcom, I think Full House, something that existed solely in the 90s.
Full House did not exist solely in the 90s.
When did it end?
It ended, I'm not exactly sure when.
I'm pretty sure it's 90s.
But then again, Full House is not a good show.
And this isn't a good movie. So that's what you compare it to.
Well, 90s sitcoms they were infamous for ending on freeze frames. Mm-hmm. Well, almost every sitcom I remember from the 90s ended on freeze frames.
Well, not constantly, but they did it at least.
I'm serious. Like literally, like every episode. Some shows are literally like that. Like Steve Urkel. And whatnot, like Family Matters.
I never watched enough Family Matters to know.
It's like, that ended on freeze frames every fucking episode.
I wouldn't know. But yeah, so, I don't know. That's not even what I'm angry about. Honestly, this feels like just a bad relationship where I'm just getting angry about things that I shouldn't be angry about. Just because, in general, it's a bad relationship.
It's angry because you're frustrated because you want to talk about all the things that are wrong with this movie, and yet they're all the same things. We can't. We're done. We're done. Okay, final thoughts.
No. Real quick.
No, final thoughts. No. I'm calling the plug on this one.
No. Listen.
You don't get to dictate. No,
I'm not trying to dictate. Look, we are going to be very negative with all these things. I want to find one thing with each movie that we do that was not terrible.
Okay, it was that one line at the last 4 minutes of the movie where the guys finally wake up from the trance and the two guys they were never covered in oil in the first place. Nope. They just all of a sudden cut back and they're covered in oil. And the guy gets up, he's like, "There better be a good reason why I'm covered in oil." Ha!
That's about it.
That was it. That was the only good part of the entire movie for me. It was that one mildly, somewhat of a chuckle line.
For me, I can't. Yeah, that mild of a chuckle line. The ending, that was a good part. It ended. Yeah.
It didn't keep going on. It's not like
it's not like the rest of the movie where it kept going on and on and on.
It's not like Beyond Two Souls where it's like a 7-hour sit. It's just like this one is. All
right. That's it. Final thoughts.
You already know my thoughts. Everything in this movie is fucked up. It's wrong. Nothing about this works. It made me pissed off. The more and more I was... obviously, I'm not as angry at this movie as I have been in some other movies like Ginger Dead Man and whatnot. But this movie was just... It was just awful because it wasn't bad in the sense of normal bad. It was just bad because it was so boring and half-assed. And, no one gave a fuck. And if they did, they had a silly way of showing it.
Would you recommend?
No. Okay. God, no. Even if we were recommending 1313 movies, I probably will at the very end of the entirety of this ordeal say which movie was not
the worst. Not the worst.
Not the worst and whatnot. So maybe I could offer a hollow recommendation at that point, but right now, no.
Alright, for me, I really, over the entire course of this review, I really wanted to go over more in depth, but he's right. There is no way to go more in depth over something that's so menial and meaningless. It's just so. I would say, watch part of it. Watch maybe the first 5 minutes, and you will get a feel for what the entire film is about. As soon as you see them turn cougar heads, the CGI cougar heads, that's all you need to watch. You will get the entirety of the film. It's all like that. And that's all I can recommend that you watch, the first 5 to 10 minutes. After that, it is poison. But overall, what I think about the movie, it is shit. It deserves a spot on ShitFlix. Yeah, I can't. Out of the 2 1313 films we watched and the 3 David DeCoteau's films that we've seen, this is number 3. This is in last spot on both. Right? It's worse than Talking Cat. It's way worse than Billy the Kid. And if we're going to get worse over time, I'm just, oh my god.
Of course we're going to get worse over time.
I hope not.
Of course we're going to get worse over time. That's how
right.
we structured this shit.
Alright, well, you know what? What's next on the list? What is it?
Next thing on the list we got is 1313 Bermuda Triangle.
I sure hope we don't get lost in that film. Yeah. Matt? Matt? Matt, are you having a stroke, Matt? Matt, seriously, cut it out. Matt, I'm gonna go get someone. All right, you just. Oh, jeez, Matt. I hope you're all right, man. Oh, God.